Okay, so let's dig into this. We hear so much about AI, helping out with coding, basic
Right.
tasks.
Automation, generating boilerplate maybe.
Exactly. But the big question is, can it go deeper, like really integrate into a creative process? I'm thinking game development specifically.
Yeah, that's super demanding. Can it be more than just uh, a utility? Maybe a real partner?
That's the hope, I guess.
Well, that's what we've been looking into for this deep dive. We went through a bunch of sources exploring how AI could, practically help game developers.
And one of them made a pretty bold claim.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
One source was talking about achieving 10x productivity
Yeah.
using Claude AI specifically. That definitely caught our eye.
Whoa, okay. 10x productivity in
Yeah.
game dev.
Yeah,
That's a number that makes you sit up and pay attention.
absolutely.
So I guess our mission here is clear. We need to unpack these sources, try to figure out how exactly this AI workflow is meant to deliver that kind of burst.
hmm
And, what are the key takeaways for you, the listener? It's not just about that flashy number.
No, it's about the methods, the concepts underneath it.
Right.
Exactly. And while that one source, yeah, is very focused on a specific workflow, others we looked at discussed the kind of foundational ideas, things that make this speed up possible.
Like what?
Well, it really centers on giving the AI deep
Mm-hmm.
project knowledge
Hmm.
and enabling what they call AI pair programming.
Okay. Project knowledge. So not just general coding knowledge.
No, totally different. It's less about asking, how do I write a for loop,
Mm-hmm.
and much more about the AI understanding the unique context, the specific setup of your project.
Ah, I see. So it's got to have the full picture, the code structure, the way you write code, the history,
Yeah.
all the quirks of your specific code base.
Precisely. One source described a workflow that honestly sounded pretty straightforward on the surface.
Yeah.
Like you just create a new project space in Claude, feed it your entire code base.
The whole thing.
Seems like it, yeah. And then you just start working kind of with the AI.
Huh. They actually had a term for it, didn't they? Something catchy.
They did. Vibe coding.
Vibe coding. Okay. I kind of get that. It implies collaboration.
Right. And because the AI has supposedly ingested all your code,
Yeah.
the sources point to some, pretty significant advantages.
It's like what kind of things?
Well, for instance, imagine asking specific questions about your project's history or structure.
Mm.
How does a specific system work again?
And getting an instant answer that's actually relevant to your files.
Exactly. Instead of you digging through old commits or documentation.
Okay, yeah. That alone is a huge time saver. I could see that. What else?
Another big one mentioned is describing a feature you want, maybe just in plain English.
Uh-huh.
And the AI doesn't just spit out any code. It generates code that, ideally, fits your project's existing style, uses your patterns.
So it matches what's already there. That's crucial.
It is. And what's also interesting, and this came up across a few sources, is how it changes learning.
How so?
Well, think about it. Instead of getting stuck and spending hours on generic forums trying to find a solution that maybe sort of fits your specific problem,
Right, which usually takes forever.
the AI can give you explanations or solutions directly tied to the context of your code.
Mm.
Learning feels much more, I don't know, integrated into the actual building process.
Mm. Okay, so it's less like a generic tutor and more like having a senior developer sitting next to you who already knows the entire project.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
Yeah.
The source really pushing that 10x idea framed it almost as programming 2.0.
Programming 2.0. Bold.
It is. But the idea is the AI isn't just, fixing syntax errors. It's suggesting optimizations based on your code.
Yeah.
Implementing features using your libraries, explaining concepts within your framework.
Can you give an example?
Sure. They had hypotheticals like asking for help with multiplayer networking.
Okay.
Claude might apparently look at your existing network module and suggest building on that using your classes. Or if you need collision optimization, it would tailor suggestions to your entity system.
Gotcha. So it avoids that context switching, that generic advice that doesn't quite fit.
That seems to be the key to the speed gains they're talking about. Less wasted effort translating general solutions.
But it's probably worth pointing out, as other sources sort of hinted, this isn't necessarily guaranteed magic, right?
Oh, definitely not. The potential for big gains seems real, but, the actual results probably depend a lot on the project itself. How complex is it? How clean is the code base you feed the AI initially?
Sure, garbage in, garbage out, potentially.
Right. It's really about applying sophisticated pattern matching to a very specific data set, which is your project. But the common thread, the thing all sources seem to agree on, is that the real power comes from that deep understanding, the AI knowing your specific
It
context.
feels like it shifts where you spend your mental energy.
Exactly. Instead of constantly trying to recall syntax details or figuring out where that one function lives,
You focus higher up.
yeah, on the design, the architecture, the actual problem solving,
Yeah.
you use the AI as this incredibly fast assistant for the lower level implementation details. It has near instant recall of your stuff.
Okay, that makes sense. It's an interesting shift.
There really is.
All right, so maybe here's something for you, the listener, to chew on. If an AI could genuinely become that familiar with your project, its unique structure, its conventions, its history, just imagine what kinds of complex tasks, maybe things you've put off or ambitious ideas you thought were too big, what suddenly feels within reach for you?
Yeah, think about tackling that complexity when you essentially have a partner that knows your code base
Yeah.
almost as well as you do, maybe even better in some ways. What becomes possible then?